that it?
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Okay, my name is Gayle Hutchinson. My actual full name is Gayle or Sharon Grammer Hutchinson Amarino, as I was married to a Hawaiian guy who's deceased now. I have owned Pathfinding Consulting for 13 years. It's a consulting business that basically, as my PR person David Unpaid says, it does development, basically. Be that a medical practice or a health practice, a health business, a regular small business, an organization, a person, whatever. Okay. And I've owned other businesses throughout my career, so I'm pretty versed in what it takes to be an entrepreneur. And in life, when we want to add something to something, what do we say? Oh, P.S. Okay? Well, in P.S. here, this is equal to personal. And this is equal to support. Okay? So, as a small business owner, as a woman, you need stamina. Absolutely need stamina. Absolutely need courage. Absolutely need respect. First for yourself. And then everybody else around you. And you better like what you're doing. Okay? So this is something you control. Nobody can help you with this. You have to do this yourself. The S, you can get help with. Faith starts with you, but you can branch it. You can start with dedication, but you can get others to help you with that. You can start with provision, but you can get others to help you with that. You can start with knowledge, but you can get others to help with that. And both of these end up this way. As relationships. That is the most important word you need to have. Because without relationships, be there with yourself or with support. What you get? All right. Okay. So keep these in mind as we go through today, that these are the things that hopefully you embody as you do your business. You listen to others who have businesses, who are support people in positions within the government, agencies, and communities, and all of that. Okay? So, let's begin. I'd like to call down Miss LaTanya, Michelle Lane, Wisty, Pender, Lane Rhodes, and Mr. Tiller. This is our panel for the first panel. And would you have seats right here, please? This is our first panel. Thank you, guys. Okay. I'll start with Michelle.
My name is Michelle Lane. I manage minority small business initiatives for the city of Nashville, Davidson County. I have operated in that capacity for, it seems like a very long time now, about 13 years. We promote the inclusion of small, minority, woman-owned, and service-disabled veteran-owned businesses in the city's procurements through the use of two separate programs.
My name is Wisty Pender. I work with Economic and Community Development with the state of Tennessee. My office, which has a really long title, is called the Business Enterprise Resource Office, and you see that referred to as BERO. My office serves as a voice for and advocate of women and minority-owned businesses, but I've also expanded that to include veterans and rural businesses, and I also like to highlight things that youth are doing. The office is myself, and we've got 9 we've got 9 regional offices within our department, and so I get a lot of information and do a lot of things through those offices as well. And then I'll tell you a little bit more as we answer questions. So.
I'm LaTanya, you met me already. Been with SBA since 2005 in Tennessee District Office 2.
Good morning, I'm Lane Rhodes. I'm with Regions Bank and I run their SBA lending group over there. On the side, I also have a nonprofit that my husband and I started that is a summer camp for kids that focuses on diversity and racial reconciliation. So that's really my passion, but I also really enjoy helping small business owners and found a great way to do that through the banking community. I've been in banking over 15 years and found out that SBA is really my niche probably about 10 years ago, so I've been focusing on SBA lending for a little over 10 years.
She's one of our great banker success stories. I'm David Tiller with SBA. I've been with the agency over 20 years. I'm the Veterans Business Officer and also the Public Information Officer of the District International Trade Officer for SBA. I also have a radio show every Thursday called The Money Show. I co-host the show with Daryl Hill, who works at Woodbine Community Center. And any interested people today who would like to call in the show, it's 329-8810. It's 8810, Jazzy 88, WFSK, right on the Fisk campus. My direct phone number where I work is 736-7176. My email is david.tiller@sba.gov. I want to make sure that every one of you have at least one of these great one-pagers, which our great LaTanya, who's only been with our agency 2 weeks, that is, or in Nashville for 2 weeks, introduced me to just this week, the one-pagers. So we're learning all the time from each other, and we're here to learn from you as well as hopefully teaching you a few things about how the system really operates. Thank you very much for inviting me, Pat Wesson, who's also been on the show, and my great friend, Gayle. We go back only 25 years, right?
Not quite that far. Okay. Patricia talked about the ranking that Tennessee has in terms of women starting businesses, which is 17th in the country, 4th regionally. You folks, what specific steps should be taken to help assure that Tennessee transitions from a place where women start businesses to a state known as a place where women-owned businesses experience significant revenue growth and sustainability as an employer? Michelle?
See, I wondered why this first seat was empty when I went back beforehand and everybody was loaded at the end. I think if you think about that question from the vantage point of statewide initiatives, I think probably Wisty and LaTanya are in a better position to answer it, in terms of kind of this statewide approach. But from the standpoint of what individual entities, municipalities can do within the state, I think that one of the things that has worked relatively well for us within the city of Nashville is, one, creating a programmatic approach to including women more in the city's procurements such that they can then be more viable contributors to our regional economy. And that approach for us since 2008, I believe we began our program, has shown significant increase of those women-owned businesses who participated. And we've seen more of those businesses grow out of what we call small business status. So it's kind of a bittersweet situation. They have dual status, most of them, because we've got 2 programs. They're going to be woman-owned businesses certified by someone, that we recognize and accept. And they're going to be small businesses as determined by Metro, not so much the SBA standards, which are much larger. We have more of a micro small business program. We see those folks get into, and we hear the anecdotal, which is important for us, because as we do disparity studies, et cetera, we have to look at the numbers and the anecdotal responses. But we see those folks growing out of status, which means not only are they able to come in and do business with the city, we're seeing them now have some growth, increase in revenues, such that they're able to elevate out of that. And I think if we have enough of that type of approach within various municipalities, then it will only enhance any statewide initiatives or SBA-type regional initiatives that are working toward that same end. Now, I will place one caveat on that. to say that we have seen that growth happen more so in construction-related woman-owned businesses. You know, so, and that I think is probably typical for what we're buying. You know, the city is going to, or is charged with delivering services to the taxpayers. And often that means we are building buildings, creating greenways, you know, doing a lot of those kinds of things, in addition to delivering services, social services, et cetera. But the vast amounts, or the larger amounts of the revenues and the tax revenues are funneled into those facilities and infrastructure.
Thank you. Go for it, dear.
So with my office, I work more with the service providers. So I work to get out best practices, because there are a lot of really good programs that are happening across the state. And something good that's happening in Memphis, I want to make sure that, you know, somebody in Franklin or somebody in Johnson City, that they know about that, so there's not a process of reinventing the wheel. And the businesses, you know, are full spectrum. One of the things I did with my website is that I kept getting a lot of questions of, you know, I would have the general resources, and then I would have ones that were, you know, specifically for women, but they weren't seeing that the general resources weren't for everybody. So I made some adjustments to my website, so when you go, there are different tabs. So if you click on women, there's a section that's on policy and procurement, which is going to talk about certifications, doing business with the government, different women's groups like NAWBO or the Women Business Enterprise Council, different certification groups. And then it's also going to have the federal resources, which are the same across the board. And they do have their own special things, especially the SBA. So that's one area that's kind of the public face of things that you as a business owner can access all the time. And this postcard, which I've left kind of 2 stacks on each corner so you can pick one up if you want on the way out, there's a small business guide, and you can download it, you can request it if you like. Some people like to hold things, which I totally understand. So I do print hard copies, and that's something you can request, and that goes through how to start a business, different kinds of insurance, all the resource providers that are statewide, and that's for all businesses, not specifically for women-owned businesses. But the other thing that I would encourage you to look at is on my website, I do a quarterly newsletter, and 2 areas I really focus on are, like I said, best practices, and so I highlight those. The spring edition, there is actually a venture capital group that started by women in Chattanooga, because there's a big gap in venture capital funding for women, by women and for women businesses too. There's, you know, in venture tech, there are lower numbers. So I would encourage you to look there, and then, so I've got best practices and access to capital, and that talks about different funding sources, and I do a lot on, I know she's giving me these signals, hurry up.
That means,
I know,
Well,
I'll finish it up.
before you continue,
Uh-huh.
how does that going to sustain and employment?
Right.
Answer that part for them.
Right.
Because that was really at the end of that question. So, you know.
Because if you have access to capital, if you know where to find it and how to get it, that's going to help you grow your business.
Okay.
And to know what resources that you can access, that's going to help you grow your business, because there are a lot of really good resources out there, and a lot of times it's just a matter of where do I go to find, where do I start, how do I find it, how do I not get overwhelmed, and then of course, you know, as businesses grow, I mean, Middle Tennessee is definitely growing very quickly. So
okay, I'm gonna say 2 things. Get ready, because the issue she wants us to focus on is the sustainability. Get ready, and I'm specifically talking about on the federal contracting side and also on the lending side. Get ready, be ready, and market. And we have free resources all throughout the state, so you can get ready, be ready, and learn how to market your business. I asked you, were you familiar with the SBDC, Small Business Development Centers? Those are free courses. We have a women's business center in the state of Tennessee, and we might have another one pretty soon, because there's an announcement out for a grant to have another one. There are lots of resources that are coming out from the federal side, so we can get more resources here so you can get ready, be ready, and market. As it concerns marketing, Joint ventures. Lane just mentioned subcontracting, and she was asking who's a contractor. On the federal side, a prime contractor, meaning the agency that, the vendor that actually, the contractor that won the contract, they're required to do what's called a subcontracting plan. So you don't necessarily have to start out as the contractor. Market yourself, joint ventures, teaming, subcontracting.
Very good, thank you. Lane, tell them.
Well, I'm on the banking side, so the number one thing that I see that holds women back when they come into my office and they sit down with me and they ask for a loan is their quality of their financials. And us as women, I think we try to do everything ourselves. You know, we run the household, we take care of the kids, we take care of our husbands, and then we take care of our business, and we don't go out and ask for help. Sometimes we just need help with things like financial statements, like our business plan, and it's not a bad thing to go out and ask for help. You know, if you don't have a good CPA partner, go get one. Because that's the first thing the bank is going to ask is, you know, let me see your income statement and your balance sheet, and if you can't provide those and provide them current as well, I get a lot of ladies that come into me and, you know, here we are, we're halfway through the year and all they have is first quarter financials for me. It's really hard for me as a lender to make a loan decision based off of stale information. And how are you as a business owner really knowing what's going on with your business if you're also not keeping your financials current? You know, what is your inventory turnover? If you haven't, you know, run those ratios recently, do you really even know what you have in your business as assets to begin with, and how am I supposed to be able to lend against that as a banker? So that's the number one thing that I see that, you know, holds female business owners back. And it also holds, you know, every small business owner back, because you're so focused on running the business that often that piece of it kind of gets brushed under the carpet, and you'll get to it later when things slow down and you have time to. Well, stuff just doesn't slow down. There's always something else that we can do. So go out, find a good CPA partner. You don't have to bring somebody on in-house. There's great resources out there that have like outsourced CFO services. You know, if you're great at the marketing and sales aspect of your company, and that part of the company starting, you know, to kind of struggle, you don't have to feel like you need to go out and hire somebody that's going to take a big full-time salary, you know, out of the company. Just go out and hire somebody part-time to be your outsourced CFO.
Hire a consultant.
Yes. And there are wonderful women consultants out there that do this that would be more than happy to help, and it doesn't have to cost, you know, a boatload of money, and it doesn't have to be somebody that you know, use full time. You may only need them once or twice a year, but just make sure that the financials are in order from your business.
So we were started as an independent federal agency in 1953 to help people get in business, stay in business, and grow their businesses. As LaTanya said and the other panelists have said, we have mostly free or very affordable resources out there to assist you. But it is really up to you. As my colleague said earlier, it's 23, it's 25%, 5%, 5%, 3%, 3%. There are goals that our federal agencies have, and those goals are attainable only if you do your part. If you want your business to go forward, that is up to you. We're here to assist you, but we can't do it all for you. So I want to remind you that your resources are available, and if you need us, we will be there for you. We're here volunteering to be here, for example, on a Saturday, because we believe in you. So again, if it's assistance you need, there are lots of resources right here, including outside of the table. So take advantage of those today. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I want you to give everyone the top 3 services your organization gives to help female business owners or women business owners with. Top 3.
I wear several different hats. You know, at the bank, we help provide financing, and we're a financial resource to come to help you with, you know, planning on how you want to grow your business. So, you know, the growth planning is one thing we offer. We also offer succession planning. That's a concern I see for business owners that have grown their business and then they don't have somebody they want to hand that business off to.
Explain what succession planning is.
I gotcha. So succession planning is, after you've built the business to a point that you feel like you're ready to exit, what's your exit strategy? Is your business going to live on after you, and how do you set it up to be successful once you are ready to step aside? Because so many business owners, they hold their business close to them, and if they walk away from it, it literally falls to pieces. You can't continue to grow your business and drive revenues with you being the only person that can drive the company. You've got to be able to hand that off to somebody else. So employee planning and relations is also a component of that. At the bank, I think they come to us just for a loan, but we do all other types of planning as well. We can also help keeping your personal house in order, because having your personal house in order is just as important as having your business in order. If your personal finances are awful and in the pot, it's going to be a reflection on your business as well. So you got to make sure both of those are the same. If any of you have ever struggled with credit reports in here, because that credit score is crucial when you go apply for a business loan, come to a banker and get some tips on maybe how to improve that credit score prior to going through that application process, because it's too late once you apply for the loan. You can't go back and try to repair your credit after you've already submitted the application to the bank. But if you know it's going to be a struggle on the front end, that's a service we can also help you with, is give you some tips and steps to try to get your credit score repaired and up prior to submitting for the loan.
Okay, 3 things?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know that's a hard thing for federal.
Not fair.
But 3 things. You did
3
so well.
things. 3 things. Capital and credit, SBA loan. Contracting programs, federal contracts, the programs that I mentioned. And and to help you get ready for both, training and technical assistance offered through our resource partners and our agency as well. Our small business development centers, our women business centers, and our own office. And SCORE, thank you very much.
Okay, what were the 3?
Contracting program, training, technical assistance.
I didn't hear that. What?
Technical assistance.
What?
Training and technical assistance. SCORE, Small Business Development Center, Women Business Center.
Basic word there is what?
Training.
But also assistance.
How to read financial statements.
Right.
How to do a business plan.
Right. Who wants to do it? Okay.
So mine is really one. It's a resource. And the
She's
resource,
breaking it down
and
now.
the resource is going to be through publishing of the small business guide, the website, and then the quarterly communication with the newsletter. Then also the resource of connecting different service providers. And when I say service providers, in that context, we're service providers. Pat Weston is a service provider. Connecting them to do more than the sum of their parts, so they can accomplish more. And Patricia asked me to mention Governor's Office of Diversity of Business Enterprise. So I just want to put them out there as a state entity. They're part of the Department of General Services, and they are the state's certification, registration for women, minority, service disabled, veteran, and small businesses. And so when you want to do contracting with the state, that's actually who you go through. It's a little bit different than actually both of the people that I'm sitting next to. Their process is a little bit different. But there's info in the publication, or you can ask me after. I'm happy to give it to you. So just one.
No.
Really,
No.
resource.
No. Her top 3.
Small business. Service provider.
See? Okay. That's a navigation for you. That's what this young lady does. She navigates. Is that correct, ma'am? Okay. So that is an important resource and relationship for you to have. Is someone who can help you navigate the big, huge monster of being a business owner, and what you need, and how to get it, and where from. And before you get too exhausted, she can hold your hand and say, no, there's help coming. So, okay? Mr. Tiller, 3.
3, be proactive.
Yes.
This also means being assertive and aggressive. At the same time, the second P is persistence. Persistence will out. Not talent, persistence. Lots of people have talent. This town, Music City, USA, is famous for all kinds of talent. Persistence wills out. And finally, the third P is patience. You must be patient and take a long-term view, particularly with respect to the third C of contracting. Credit, counseling, and contracting. Especially on that level, patience will eventually pay off. Take a long-term view.
Thank you, David. And
The work that we do in Metro's Office of Minority and Women Business Assistance is really geared toward helping you to be better and able to participate in Metro's buying processes. And we understand that through that process, you're also you're not going to leave us and go do business with the state and forget any and everything we taught you, so it helps you to be better prepared to do business with other buying entities as well. So having said that, the top 3 things that we provide, one is business development and outreach assistance. So we do provide trainings. We try not to recreate the wheel. If TSBDC or the SBA, somebody's already offering that service that you've told us you need, that specific training, we're going to direct you there, and we're going to focus our energy and attention on something that somebody else, another partner's not already doing. Outreach in that is making sure that you know what we have going on so that you can participate most effectively. The second thing that we offer is what we call procurement technical assistance. That's the formal, I call it navigating the Metro mix. I mean, you have to understand how Metro buys what it buys, who you need to talk to. You know, people have been selling certain things to certain departments for years. How can we help you navigate the process to get in there? So that procurement technical assistance for us takes the shape of either consultations with you, being involved in the procurement process itself, making sure that people understand the programmatic approaches that we take for each solicitation, and then also making sure that you are able to connect with potential partners on a solicitation by solicitation basis. And then the third service that we provide is contract compliance. That is the proof in the pudding for me. Somebody can come in and say, I'm going to work with this construction company up here, who I don't know what it is, but I know she does construction, and I'm going to work with her, and it's going to value 12% of the total contract. And there was a day and time in Metro, I'll tell you, when I first arrived there, that nobody checked it. They signed a little piece of paper and said, I promise I'll do it, and that was the end of it. We have a robust process now where we engage in contract compliance to ensure that what you said you do, you do. One, we want to make sure that folks who are participating and counting on us to administer the program have some faith in that program. Two, it holds your feet to the fire if you're a contractor to do what you said you would do. And then three, we want to make sure that our program is the best that it can be. So if it looks good on paper, but it doesn't pass the smell test because people find their names in a proposal or a response, but then they never see anything tangible, any benefit from it, then that makes our program, the integrity of our program, really questionable. So those three things are valuable for, in my mind, the successful implementation and administration of any program, and I'm glad that we offer that.
The three?
Business development, outreach, technical
Procurement.
and contract compliance.
See, we're getting this, aren't we? So how many do we have now? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. 15 different places to look.
And there will be a pop quiz on this.
Yes, he's right about that. Okay, before we go to the third question, any questions from you guys?
She has one.
Speak up. Yeah.
Question.
Any questions from you guys?
I'm away.
To anyone?
Oh, no, wait, okay.
Okay. Not yet? Too nervous? What's the matter?
We're thorough.
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh, y'all
Okay.
had some questions, I got a question.
Speak up there.
The GoDBE, the in-state one, that, because I found when I'm looking at different places online for corporations that you can put in, it's not listed as nationally recognized. There's also not a self-certification for the WOSB listed as recognized. So to get in on those federal contracts,
So I'm gonna actually kind of address that a little bit. It was one of the things, I was gonna see what she was gonna ask and then see if it fit in. But one thing that's really distinct, federal contracting is very different from state contracting. It's very different from municipal, and then even your smaller. So a lot of times I get the question of, I need to be certified as a woman-owned business. Which then I ask, well, why? Who's asking you? What's your motive? Like, are you working on a contract and somebody's asked you to get it? Where are they from? Did they ask for something specific? Because you have the Women Business Enterprise Council, which is a paid certification. It's a nonprofit. They help with, the technical assistance and the business development kind of opportunities end of it. And if you're in the automotive industry and you need a certification, that's kind of the one you need. It's called WBEC or WBANK. Yeah. So if you're in automotive, that's the one that they're looking for. And there's certain corporations that have made agreements with them, and that's the one that they look for. Sometimes, like I had a woman one time who she needed a certification because she was a subcontractor for somebody in a private entity. And so, one, she did want to expand her business, but the state certification worked for her. It's a pretty fast process compared to WBANK, definitely compared to like TDOT. TDOT and the Airport Authority, they've got their own because they have to meet federal qualifications. So it sounds like a really basic general topic, but it's actually pretty complicated, and you need to know what you're doing, and you actually want your marketing plan to reflect what your process is, because you can't just say, I'm going to do government contracting, because it's such a big bubble. And if you're going to say, I want to work with the state, then you go one route, and then you can add Metro, because you build up this ability to do it. You build up your business's resume, and your capabilities get better. So then you can be certified with the state, but Metro wants you to actually have some more sales. They want you to have a little bit more experience. So, so there's just different ways you can do it. You want that to be part of your marketing.
Yes.
Okay. A couple of things about, certification. For Metro, we don't actually require a separate certification. Our feel on it is there are a number of certifying entities out there, and there are ones that we will accept and recognize. And if you've been through the hoops, and I don't mean that pejoratively, but often there's a lot of documentation provision that's included. So if you've been through that process, we're not going to say to you, I know you've been through the 8A program, and I know you had to do a lot with that, but I need you to come get this Metro-specific certificate. We're not going to do that. We're going to accept it. Now, we don't accept all of them. Ones that we don't accept are ones that are simple self-certification, because they don't satisfy the rules that are laid out in the code that creates our program. We have the ability to do certificates ourselves, certification procedures, engage those ourselves, or to have reciprocal certification. And so we engage in that process, but we don't take certificates from just anyone. So we want to know what your procedures are like, and when folks come into us and they don't have any certificate at all, but they want to participate in our program, the first thing we ask them is, who do you typically do business with? What type of business do you typically engage? If you're doing business with private entities, and that's pretty much it, we're going to direct you toward WBANK or someone like that if you're a woman-owned business. If you're doing business with, somebody told me yesterday, the Department of Children's Services at the state, we're going to say, you know what? It might make sense for you to go to GoDBE. We're going to accept that GoDBE certificate, and it's going to put you in their mix most effectively as a woman-owned business. So You know, we're looking at what's going to work for us in terms of being able to help you participate in the program, but what's also going to work for you with other buying entities and other folks who are looking to buy what you sell. If you're doing business with the automotive industry, probably not the best choice to go and get, you know, the GoDB certificate. You know, because you're kind of in this state mix now as opposed to this private corporate.
I'm gonna let LaTanya have a brief section here, so you get it from the state, municipal, and federal. And then we're gonna move to another question, okay? If we have time at the end, we'll get some more questions, okay?
And everything that she said, I echo. Business plan, business plan, business plan, business plan. Who are you marketing to and for what purpose? Remember I said I'm from Washington? The largest amount of dollars in federal contracting is in DC. Everybody wants to get certified. Nobody knows what that means. So you gotta have your business plan ready. You gotta know what certifications you need. And as she mentioned, whether or not they apply to municipal or state. But on the federal side, the same thing. Do I need an 8A certification just because someone told me that I do? Do I need WOSB just because someone told me that I do? For small business, I don't have to do anything but know what these systems are so I can go in there and self-represent and self-certify that I'm small. Okay?
Okay,
Know what you need.
basically, did that answer your question?
No, what I need, I think I
Assess
And our
what you
resource
need.
partners can help you figure
Right.
that out.
Assess
They
what
offer
you
training
need.
and assessment to help you figure that out and do your business plan
Right.
and help you determine who to market to.
Because if you, I'm just gonna say one more thing, because if you just start registering with everybody and you're not doing the business of your business, the thing that makes you money will go broke really
Right,
fast. Because
Okay,
there's so
speaking
many.
of going broke. In addition to the resources we've discussed, what other opportunities for financial and funding support, such as microloans and grants, can you identify for women business owners? I'm going with you first, dear.
Why does it look like I'm ready?
Yes.
You look like you're chopping at the bit to get to the answer.
So I actually created a tab on my website because I get so many questions about grants. And grants is one of those things that everybody up here has probably been asked. I know there are grants for women. So kind of the quick, and this is not the all-inclusive, is that the grants that are out there typically are if you have some sort of a high-tech development, the Department of Energy, the Department of Defense, Natural Health Sciences, National Health Sciences would want to see it come to market or not, there are grants to help you do that. You still have a lot of investment on that project. They're called Small Business Research Innovation, Small Business Technology Transfer and Research. Those are kind of the two grants that are out there. So that's your high tech. If you are in agriculture and you do some value added thing, you raise goats and you make goat milk bath body products. I actually have a microloan program that I manage for rural Tennessee, and I have a woman who has bees, and she figured out how to extract this thing called propolis, and she makes skincare products with it. So she would be a potential person to do what's called ag enhancement grants. Again, you have to be in the business, and this is a grant, there's a process, it goes to the Department of Agriculture. And then the other area is if you were working and you were injured on the job and you're receiving disability payments, for example, the Department of Human Services has something called the Vocational Rehabilitation Grant. And that's a self-employment grant. For some groups, there's details about it, but that helps you start a business. Those are the three main areas. Once in a while, I talk to somebody who says, I got a grant, or I know someone who got a grant. If anybody who says, I know someone who got a grant,
They don't.
go and tell them who are they, where did they get it. Now, I'm not saying that there's not a random one out there. It's like if you taught high school English and you have a black and white cat and you lived in White County for at least 3 months, you can get $500. Those are out there. So, grants, no. Please.
I'm the SBIR, STTR person for Tennessee for 25 years. That's Small Business Innovation and Research, sbir.gov, and also sba.gov/SBIR. If you're interested in the program, there are 11 federal agencies that participate. Please go to a .com website, zyn.com. It is the gateway to learn about SBIR and STTR, which is the Small Business Technology Transfer Program. Right here in Tennessee, we have a group called Launch Tennessee, which is launchtn.org. And we also have UT Center for Industrial Services, and they put on free workshops at least 4 times a year to learn about the SBIR program. We have enormous numbers of success stories in Tennessee. If you are technical oriented, you want to be a primary investigator, these grants go for $150,000 under phase 1 up to $250,000, and $750,000 up to $1,500,000 for phase 2. That's money you do not have to pay back, but you must deliver a real product, a real deliverable that the agency is looking for. They have pre-solicitation announcements. One more time, sbir.gov. You could spend at least 15 hours on that site from every federal agency that offers the SBIR program. The National Institutes of Health alone has at least 6,000 solicitations. Your own idea generally will not do it. You have to respond to a solicitation. SBIR.gov.
Yeah, so I wanted to get a sense in here. I think a lot of times when we start talking about some of these, we assume that people need, $200,000, $300,000. But on the average, small business owners really only need about $10,000 to $50,000 in capital to kind of help launch their idea and get going. So there's several small programs out there. We have the microloan program, and we have one lender who could not be here today, but their company does that, and that's Pathway Lending. Mary Hohen was supposed to be one of our panelists, and she had a sudden death in the family and had to attend a funeral today. But Pathway Lending is a local nonprofit agency that offers that microloan program. There's also a wonderful woman, which I'm assuming some of you in here have met, Sue Malone. She also offers microloan programs through her organization, Strategies
If you
for...
want to talk to Sue, he's the man.
Yes, we can definitely get you.
Well, I can get you.
I actually I carry Sue's business cards along with mine. I ran out of mine yesterday, so all I have right now with me is Sue Malone's business cards.
And she's done more than 30,000 loans to small businesses
I've
nationwide.
included in that package, by the way.
Yes, Sue is a wonderful, wonderful resource. There are banks out there that do offer the microloan program, but for the most part, some of these smaller agencies actually do a better job at it, and they're going to require less documentation. If you come into a bank, we're going to ask you for a full financial package. And just to kind of dispel some myths out there, some of these grant programs are great if you're still in research and development phase. When you ask for actual financing from a bank or some sort of financial institution, you got to be out of that phase and kind of like David said, have a physical product and a cash flow revenue stream that we can approve that loan against.
I managed grants for the city for about 6 years when I first came in government, along with doing this work with minorities and women. And I got that question all the time, still get the question. And I think Wisty's probably hit it on the head. The grants that are out there for businesses, typically they want you to be an existing business. And if you think about what a grant is, there are 3 parties that are included. It's you, the grantor, and whomever is going to benefit from whatever that grant is for. And if you think about it, you never have to pay back a grant, like David said, unless you mess it up, fraud, you misuse it, and then they want their money back.
And then you get handcuffed.
And then you might get an orange jumpsuit. But if there was money out there for you to start your own business that you never had to pay back, every one of us in this room would be lined up to get it. So think about it like that. What I found people do to fund their businesses, they either tap out their personal savings, they max out their credit cards. I don't recommend that. They get loans or some small investments from family and friends. They go to true investors who typically want to have a stake in your business at that point. or they go to traditional or non-traditional lending institutions to fund their businesses.
Also crowdfunding, let's not forget
Yeah,
crowdfunding.
that is
It's
really
happening. We have great success stories right here in Nashville that benefit from crowdfunding.
I'm in fact getting ready to recommend to a client that because of his idea, I recommended to him yesterday that he think about doing crowdfunding for this.
I hate to hear people say, hey, can you tell me about loans for minority-owned businesses or women-owned businesses? And I feel like the Grinch, you know, because you have to tell folks, honestly, I have seen two. One was for Anheuser-Busch from them, but again, it was so specialized. You know, it was so specialized. You had to be an existing business, and I've seen Microsoft do a couple, and again, you had to be existing business, and it was very niche
Most of
funding.
the time, when you get those kind, you have to be an existing business with a track record.
Right.
Because,
They want to know their money's going to be
Yeah.
used well.
I mean, you know, even though they had big bucks, they want it back in some kind of fashion.
Well, in your example, I mean, it's going to be to their benefit
Right.
somehow. 'cause
A
like
constituent
DD
group or the industry is going to benefit from what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, any
Can I throw one more? The non-traditional along the lines of Lane, Axiom is out of Memphis, and they're doing some higher risk, kind of non-traditional businesses that has technical assistance with it, and they do everything online. So they're another option along the pathway that are good.
And Sumalone's website is strategiesforsmallbusiness.com.
It'd be nice to me, I'll give you her cell number.
I'm Lane Rhodes. I am with Regions Bank. I handle their small business loan department over there. We do the loans through the Small Business Administration. We like to help female business owners, and some of the resources that SBA can provide outside of the lending programs are also their certification programs. There is a federal initiative to give 5% of the federal contracts to women, and every year that 5% does not get fully utilized, so there's always money left on the table. So we like to make women aware of that, and we want to continue to help women succeed in growing their businesses. And the biggest way that we can do that is just to be a support system, and we always encourage other women to utilize small business owners out there for their services and resources as well.